Okay, so welcome to the Light Beam Hour. As part of my online school, Light Beam Academy, this program is designed to provide a forum for masterful teachers to share their individual messages and wisdom, and to help people all over the world expand, heal, and awaken their lives. My name is Cecily MacArthur, if you haven't been on the Light Beam Hour before, and I am a creator and host of the Light Beam Hour. So let me just introduce myself a little bit, and then I'll introduce our guests, and then we get started. So as a spiritual teacher, coach, speaker, and writer, my life mission is to help people connect with Spirit, to awaken their authentic selves, discover their true purpose, embrace change and responsible choices, and create the life of their dreams. After 20 years as a successful corporate consultant, I was stressed out, exhausted, miserable, and very dissatisfied with my life. And then I found out I had cancer. I was determined to be a survivor and at the same time take advantage of the second chance I was given to turn my life around and fulfill the purpose that God has given me. Today I'm healthy, energized, and doing spiritual work that I love as a certified life coach and workshop trainer and inspirational speaker and writer, and starting my new online school, the Light Beam Academy. I'm also a certified life mastery consultant and business partner with Mary Morrissey Life Solutions and the Human Potential Movement. My first book, 7 Ways to Stay Positive in Challenging Times, has just been published. I'm very excited about that. And I'm also writing a series of children's books called Mrs. Madison's Magic Garden. And I am excited by the endless possibilities that each day brings. And I have never felt more alive and so full of joy. Tonight, my guests, I have 2 guests tonight, husband and wife, Rick and Leisa Olson. I'm just to tell you a little bit about who they are. They are parent-family coaches. I think it's a really wonderful idea. Rick and Leisa Olson are parents of 6 daughters and an increasing number of grandchildren. Together, they have co-authored 2 books for families. As certified life coaches, they created an online membership community for families called Fuse at Home, which stands for, the acronym summarizes their purpose: family, unify, strengthen, empower. Their belief is that families are the core of our society and that our strong family builds strong communities. Their focus is in guiding families in the awareness and the discovery of purpose. They enjoy sharing their message with families all over the world. Their newest project is a free online magazine for families called Fusing Families. And you can subscribe to a monthly magazine, and we will talk more about how you can do that later. They also have over dozens of contributors to the magazine with great information from family coaches, nutritional and financial experts, as well as showcasing children throughout the world who are doing extraordinary things. There's even a place for parents to share their experiences. To contact Rick and Leisa, you can email them at admin@fusefamilyfocus.com. And we'll talk again more at the end on how you can get in touch with Rick and Leisa. So I'm very excited. I just want to talk a little bit about the format of the show, so people know. All of you or attendees are going to be muted throughout the call, but at different points in the interview, we'll stop and ask for questions and comments. So please hit 5* on your phone to raise your hand, and then I can unmute you, and I'll identify you by the last 4 digits of your phone number. So I'd encourage people to ask questions. It always increases the learning for everyone, and there's somebody else out there who has the exact same question and just didn't have the guts to raise their hand and ask it, so you are helping everyone. So I'll thank you ahead of time for participating and asking questions. So now let's get started. Rick and Leisa, hello, how are you?
We're doing great.
Can you get a little bit louder at all? I just realized it's still a little low, or maybe just speak
How
up.
is this?
That's great. Okay.
All right.
Excellent. Much better. So I wanted you to tell us a little bit more about how you got to be family and parent coaches, and where all of the programs that you've developed came from. So what was the background here?
Well, about 3 years ago, we started studying under Bob Proctor. And he changed how we think about things. He revealed
Always
to us.
Does. It definitely does.
He does. And we have a commonality in that Mary Morrissey is also one of our mentors.
Mm.
But Bob is the one that started us on our journey. He helped us understand that we control our thinking and that we control the circumstances that we live within. And if we don't like our circumstances, then we need to change them. So what we did was we changed them. And we began living life on the edge. And that's really exciting when you live life on the edge. And it's not always fun, it's not always happy, but it is exciting because you're doing things that you've always wanted to do. You either didn't know how to or didn't have, as you said earlier, the guts to get out there and do it.
Mm.
At the beginning of the year that we began with Bob, we were told, he was asked us to set a goal. And we set a goal. Rick was a monetary goal, and for me, I wanted a house that was finished. And Bob just encouraged us to keep thinking bigger and bigger. And after a while, these goals didn't seem to be doing a lot for us. And it was a few months later into the program that, while we were a part of You Were Born Rich, and I was watching the videos that went with this program, that I just knew that this is what I was meant to do, was to teach this information, and I felt it so strongly. And I shared this with Rick, and I wasn't just searching for a goal. I realized that I was searching for my purpose. Why was I here? And what was I meant to do with my life? I still have a lot of years left, and I want to make it worthwhile. And that's when we started. That was that summer that we started writing out a purpose instead of just a goal. And then together we fused our purposes together and created this program for families, because we felt that all this information that we were learning from Bob really needed to be taught in the home, and that parents needed to be the teachers. And that's how it all came about, and Fuse at Home was born.
As we tell people, we want the parents to be the heroes in the family. Because when you watch a lot of the TV shows, a lot of the media, it's the kids that are shown to be the smart ones, and the parents are the ones that are kind of off base, or they're kind of dumb in a way. And that creates disrespect. That creates disrespect in the family, but also creates disrespect in the classroom and as children move out into society. So we felt it really important that we get the parents as the heroes, because a lot of people are teaching to children, but they're not teaching to the parents. And that just perpetuates that thing that the children are the ones that need to know all this information and be the smart ones. But we really feel that parents need to do it so that they can lead their children and teach them how to be parents to lead their children.
Well, I love the idea that this is really divinely inspired. This is fitting into your life purpose. Both of you together, what a wonderful idea of having a couple of parents with 6 kids and being able to actually have the experience to be able to translate what your learnings are that was designed for adults, but to bring it through to a family structure. I'm so amazed at your ability to be able to do that, and I feel very strongly you picked a critical purpose for society today. This is so needed and so important, and that you've just done such an amazing job. thank you for listening to your life purpose and pursuing living on the edge, because I know what that's like too, and it's wonderful and scary at the same time. So
we really do feel. I just want to say that we really have felt that this purpose came to us because we were seeking it, and it has now become bigger than us, and it is pulling us forward because it has just grown to something that it's become every part of our life now, and we see that we need to keep moving forward so that it's like a child. It's been birthed, and now we need to let it grow and become to its full potential.
Oh, it's really interesting image. I love that, Leisa.
Today we went out on a date together. We went to a local lake, and as we're sitting on this bench, this lady was just up on the next bench from us, and she actually initiated the conversation, and she was telling us this is her first day of retirement. And she was at a loss. She didn't know what to do. And that's a feeling that we don't have, because we know that this is going to be our life project. It's not just something until they reach a certain age. This is going to be what we live for the rest of our life. We won't retire from this, because this is our life.
That's our purpose.
It's your purpose.
And the biggest thing that we discovered from her is that she had no purpose beyond the end of work, beyond retiring.
And so many people end up that way.
She was in the same graduating class as me in high school, which was really weird.
Wow. So it's nice to know when you've discovered that. It feels really wonderful. I know that feeling too, having changed my entire life around feeling this and knowing what it's like when you're actually making it happen. So congratulations to both of you for what you're doing, and I personally appreciate the journey. So I would like you to tell us more about the mission and Fuse and how that you formed that particular part.
Well, for me, I was just writing out just following modeling what Paul Martinelli and Bob Proctor had for purpose statements. And I wrote mine out, and that I encourage and inspire and empower others to a clear understanding of their divine knowledge, or their divine potential and their divine purpose and unlimited potential to achieve it. And this is what we wanted to help parents teach their children, that everyone has a reason for being here, and everyone has incredible potential, infinite potential to achieve what it is they want. And then one evening, because Rick he seemed to be struggling with just what it was he really wanted, and he was working he had his own office, and we went to his office, and I made him go and sit in the office, and I gave him some questions to answer, and I said, you're not coming out until you have a purpose statement written down. And so he was there for an hour or so, and what he has written down still holds true for him today.
And the purpose that I came up with is one that really, really sits within my heart. It's the harmony within me. I am running programs and facilities dedicated to raising family awareness through unifying, strengthening, and empowering families, where families are guided to think and to make decisions with abundance, without limits, and with an attitude of generosity and service to others.
Wow. Very powerful, Rick. Worth the hour it took you to write that.
It was. It has barely changed. I've changed a few words, but the same essence is there.
So we fused our purposes together, and we wrote this one out as, together we run profitable programs and facilities dedicated to unifying, strengthening, and empowering families, We encourage and inspire families to a clear understanding of their divine purpose and unlimited potential. We guide them to think and make decisions with abundance and with an attitude of generosity and service to others.
Wow.
Now, the service to others is really important to us, but we can talk about that later, and you can ask your question.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is based on that, but you've really focused in on the family. That is your service base. So I think that's really wonderful. So I'd like to have you tell more of the audience a little more about your program and what you've designed here. So can you tell us more about you actually have a family structure and the whole fuse piece with the family focus activities? Can you talk more about what that is and how the structure evolved?
Yes, the program was called Fuse at Home because it could be done at home, and the family structure is based around the home, of course. So the basic program is 12 weeks long, and it goes through a series of family-focused activities where we teach some basic tools and ask questions that lead families to looking at certain things. Like the first question we ask is, why are you a family? Or why are we a family? Because if you don't have an idea of why, there's really no sense of moving any further, because it doesn't make any sense to not understand.
Can you say more about that, Rick? Or what kind of answers? What were the reasons why people came up with? What are some of in your experience? What are the things that show up when you ask that question?
One of the most important things before I answer that is that when a family doesn't have a purpose, it's like an individual not having a purpose, or what might be easier is a business not having a purpose. Because if you don't understand what it is you're here for and why you are in that structure, because there's a reason you're there, then it's really hard to move forward and make good decisions as individuals or as a family. So when you get this purpose in place, you get the ability to make decisions a lot easier. It's easier to talk to your children and help them understand why you're doing certain things, because it fits in with our purpose. This is our purpose that we agreed to, remember? And this is how we get to it. It also helps in your relationship. Lisa's and my relationship has improved dramatically since we found our purpose. And whenever we have our discussions or disagreements,
heated discussions,
we focus back on this is our purpose. Without us together working towards it, there is no fuse. So that gives us the strength to move back and the reason to move back and work on the relationship and make it stronger and move forward.
Well, I really get, a business purpose or a life purpose, but I'm really struggling with a family purpose. I mean, you're really creating a whole new idea for people. Well, tell us more about that.
Okay.
Well, it's really not that new of an idea with Stephen Covey. He talks about, he calls it a family mission statement.
Okay.
And for us, the word purpose just has been something that I guess maybe because of being right through Bob Proctor's programs where he talks so much about purpose, vision, and goals. And so the word purpose really fits into our hearts. And when you look at each member of the family, I mean, everyone is unique. And as this program kept evolving, we were really realizing that what was so important was that every child felt valued and that they had a voice in the family, and that when they had a desire or something that they wanted to do in their life, that it was supported by each member of the family. And when you bring all of these different ideas and talents and abilities together, then you can see how they're much stronger as a unit than just all alone, and that they can pull and draw upon each other's abilities and talents and then go forward and do something that is greater than their family.
So typically, every member of the family would contribute to this mission or this purpose.
Yes.
Yes, we would. It's just getting that clear picture of what is it that you really want to see our family be like. And I feel a lot of times that parents, when they first get married and have their children, that maybe they're not totally clear on what kind of family they want and what values they want to teach their children and what type of environment they want their home life to be. It just kind of happens. And when it just kind of happens, then they're letting...
I'm sorry, Leisa, but I just don't think that people ever even stop to typically to do this work. So you really, you're telling people to really focus and to spend the time to actually set this up and have it be conscious and a cooperative issue with every member. So that's really powerful. And what happens when people do this, when they create those?
One word you used I wanted to clarify a little more. You used the word conscious. Most of the time we're unconscious of our actions. We do them through habit. We do them through the old patterns that we've got. And where do we get them from? Our parents, our TV, school, friends. And are they the patterns we really want to have? So when you become conscious of what it is you want to do as a family, then you start looking at the habit patterns you have, where they've come from, and why you're doing certain things that aren't consistent with you doing. And that's the block that a lot of people have. Is that they don't want to be like their parents, and they say that as their teens, but they end up behaving the same way because that's the model and the pattern that they have grown up with.
Sure.
The sort of civilization, the culturalization.
Yeah, and I mean the media also has such a big influence on families, and they see family situations on TV, and a lot of that starts happening within their own family, where they're not really being real and realizing that you have control and you can decide the kind of family life you want to have. And I know that with one young couple that went through our program, when they were working towards understanding why they were together and working at creating a purpose together, that started to bring them closer, more in their intimacy, just together, and realizing that they really are a husband and wife, and it made quite a difference in that relationship. And another family that it was actually just the mom that was working through the program, and just the difference in her home from the very beginning of meeting her, there was chaos everywhere. And when we came to visit her at the 3 months later, just like the difference in her home life, the children were calmer, and when she went through having a purpose with her children, then they started to take more initiative in their schoolwork, and she was homeschooling them. And they started seeing that I know what I want to be and want to do now, and how school now is, when I study these lessons, it's going to help me get there, and it suddenly became more exciting for them. So there were some wonderful changes in the family life.
So how do they write down the purpose, or they?
Oh, definitely.
And do they hang it on the wall, or what's the typical way so that people really start to live that way? Yes,
having it written out, and we encourage them at the very end of the 12 weeks of the Fuse at Home program to create a banner, and they can put everything that represents their purpose on that banner. And if they are so creative to come up with a song or a cheer, so that they can remember this, and that's their purpose. So each time they have their family focus activity, they can recite their purpose, and maybe say their cheer, and really feel a lot more connected as a family. And
I love that. I love the idea of a family song. How cool is that? That's great. Well, I mean, this, just thinking about my own childhood and also raising a child. I mean, these ideas never even came up. I mean, you never even considered that there was a purpose. You just, got through every day.
Exactly.
But to actually have it, and as Rick was saying, making it conscious, and then to keep focused on it, and in such a positive way, so that you've got a cheer or you've got a banner. I love that, to actually hang it up like that and have it represent the whole family, and then to honor it by keeping it a focus for the family. That's amazing. You must have seen some really cool stuff that happens as a result of that.
Well, one of the things that we get a family to do right away is to make a family mobile.
A mobile? Say more about that. What do you mean?
Well, a mobile is one of those things that move in the air.
Mm-hmm.
You have, what we've done is we've put Lisa and I as the parents, and then the 6 children hanging underneath, and then whatever attachments they have. One daughter has a dog. That's her little baby. Then we have one that's married with 2 children, so we have them as a separate entity on this mobile. So it gives you a sense of the structure of the family. And we have it hanging right above our heads right now, and it's with us all the time. So we're constantly being reminded of the family. And as that mobile moves, because all of the different people are moving whenever there's air currents, they move in different ways. But the important thing and why we do that is that if something happens to one member of the family, it affects everyone.
And that's whether it's an exciting, happy thing or a very sorrowful, sad thing.
So as we teach purpose and bringing family together as a purpose, we want people to know that every time that something happens in the family, that's where the need for support is, and we need to build the communication and family relationship.
And when you first start putting the family members on the mobile, and you put the mom and dad on first, you have to balance it. You have to put them at certain spots so that the stick that they're on is balanced. And you look at that in your relationship. When you first get married, you have to really do a lot of working hard together to make sure that you stay a healthy, balanced couple, and different situations can cause you to get off balance. And then you start putting stick, and you realize that, wow, we all have to rebalance again, and don't we have to do that as each child's born? Now you have a different schedule, and you're more exhausted, and you have another person to be responsible for. And then when the next child gets put onto the stick, then that older child also has to be shifted around so that everything's balanced. And their life is different now because they're now a big brother or sister. And so there's a good way to show it in a visual way, how as a family we're always rebalancing each other and so that we can have harmony.
And we're always interconnected.
I can see that mobile in my mind. I think that's such a beautiful way. Now, where did you come up with that idea? Where did the original concept come from?
Well, back in the 80s, 85, 86, John Bradshaw was very popular.
Oh, I love John Bradshaw, absolutely. I did a few things with him.
And he used the mobile, the family mobile, as the way of explaining how events would traumatize the whole family.
And he called it the family dance. And so we're kind of all danced together on a mobile.
Interesting.
So that's where it came from. And we find it a very useful way for families to feel that connection because it's visual.
Yes, well, all of the different things, so the purpose statement on a banner and having a mobile like that, I think just for them to think about the unit and the balance. I really like Lisa's saying, particularly as you're adding new members. And I was thinking when you were talking that also, given the economy, there are a lot of extended families and people moving in together to help each other financially. And so you're getting young families moving back in with parents, or parents taking in their aging parents, and both with we have grandchildren and aging parents. So we have really have a new definition for family, and I see a family struggling with that. They don't know how to work with all of these changes, these new people moving in and out of their lives. So what you're talking about sounds like it could really help. Have you had experience with that kind of family?
Well, we are a blended family ourselves.
Ah, okay.
So, we do represent that on our mobile, because my daughters are on a separate branch than Lisa's daughters. But we're all connected because we all move together. But if you really think about it, for example, my daughters went from one sister each to 7 sisters within a year.
Wow.
seven sisters and a brother. So
that's a big family.
Think of the changes that have happened in their lives and the expansion of their family. But then think about when you're trying to put a mobile together, you've got the exes who have an influence, and then they get married and they have children and they have an influence, and all of these move together. And something that happens in say, my wife's ex's family to the children there, because they are either half or stepsisters or brothers, that affects our daughters, or at least Lisa's daughters. And if they're affected, then my daughters are affected too, because we're all interrelated. So when you start getting into the step families and the blended families, you get into some pretty complicated relationships.
No, we don't.
And it's also hard to have harmony in the family, as you're saying, when you have these new relationships that people have to adjust to and don't know how to do that. So your tools sound like they would be very useful, particularly when a significant change in the family happens.
Yes, that is one of the reasons that we started what we were doing for our family.
Yeah. We don't physically have our ex-spouses on our mobile. It's just us, our family.
That's good. Well, some people do. Yeah, it depends on on how you see that. But I can see what you. Well, I would like you to talk more about the actual the family focus activities, and so you said you started with the purpose and getting people focused in and on that, and then you've got the mobile. Then tell us more about, you have more of this structured meeting, family time, and how that works.
I really feel that when you have a time together as a family, it needs to really have a structure to it, so that it's not just everybody's together and now what do we do? And also, it's like, how. And when children understand that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, then they know that when we get to the middle, that there's going to be something that's going to be finally showing that we're at the end, and then they understand that the meeting will eventually be finished. And we started with our girls having a meeting once a week, and we had a little book that we went through and would just read a tiny little portion of it each week, and we rotated who read each week so that everyone had a turn to kind of be that leader. And everyone had a part in the evening where somebody would choose activity to play, and somebody decided that, what treat we would have at the end. And everyone felt a part of this meeting. And sometimes our meetings would go on a lot longer than anticipated, and with school the next day where, we maybe only have 5 minutes to play the game and get the treat together and off to bed.
And that was because the conversations that we had, they were so involved and so excited about being able to say what they felt and say it in an environment that we created that was receptive, and we listened to them and accepted their understanding of this particular value or idea that we were presenting or was presented in that particular reading that we did. So it was really important for the girls because they felt valued. They felt that they up to this day, and that's 14, 15 years ago, they remember that as a highlight of their childhood years.
So let me understand that. What you're doing is you're actually going through, you're reading more of a story of something that has a lesson to it, or?
Yes. The book that we used was called If Life Were a Game, These Are the Rules by Cherie Carter Scott. We really found that packed with ideas that promoted conversation. And that was how that's what we used to promote the conversation. As a matter of fact, we have the book with us most of the time, and we've given copies to our married daughters.
Can you say the name again so that people can write it down?
If Life is a Game, These Are the Rules. And it's
the author?
Cherie Carter Scott. And Jack Canfield actually did the foreword on this.
Oh, okay.
But it's packed with very short topics on things like honor, wisdom, humor, forgiveness, and they prompted discussions. So we'll talk about forgiveness within the group, within our family. We'll talk about what's integrity, what's honesty, what's commitment. And those were just the spur for the conversation. And like we said, sometimes we could go 3/4 of an hour before we had to sort of stop the conversation because we needed to get them ready, like finish the meeting and get them ready for bed.
And this was a very small size book, and we would, in one chapter you could have probably about 6 or 7 different little sections, and we would just read, maybe one page, which consists of just maybe 4 or 5 paragraphs, and that's what we would talk about together as a family. So it wasn't like we were reading a whole book at one time. We were just reading one small section, and then we would discuss it.
And then having the opportunity to discuss it and having people share their perspectives, I think that's amazing. I mean, children don't usually do that. I remember around like the dinner table, my father would try to have discussions, and we would have our different points of view. And I do remember back as some of the better, more lively conversations we would have, more debating different topics. But that didn't happen all the time and wasn't a structured process. It was just sometimes it happened. But I do value that, so I can see why your family also set up that time, remembering that time as an opportunity where they would really get to put out their ideas and felt like they were heard and that they were respected and that their opinion counted. I mean, how wonderful to do that for children and to make them feel important about their perspective. Can you tell us, age-wise? I mean, obviously if people have really younger children, then you have different kinds of activities. So how does it work for different ages?
Well, we have set it up for children that are from about 5 to 18 can be involved. But you can do it with younger children. You just shorten it and you just talk in general terms, or you talk about family as a unit.
Well, really, when you think of your little children, your life is based at that point on just teaching habits over and over and over again. And so if you start off with having a meeting with your very young children each week, whether it may only be 15 minutes, but you just get together and you say, we're going to have our family time. And they hear that it's family time, and you just play some games with them and maybe read a story with them and just keep a little structure that we have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then we're finished, and then we go off and we do, what we do for the rest of the time or day. And if this is consistently done when they're small, then as they get to be 4 and 5, it starts to get longer and longer of a time until they get into this habit and they know what's going on. And then you start bringing in maybe a new part of the activity. And then maybe you get your child to an age where you say, well, how about if you create, you come up with the game that we're going to play tonight, and you will just think about what you'd like to do. And then slowly everything gets into place in this meeting so that as they get to be 6, 7, and 8, you're well into having a full family activity time.
So what are we teaching in this family time? We're teaching leadership. We're teaching the ability to speak in front of a group. We're teaching that your ideas are important, that you are important, that you are unique, and that by expressing different ideas, that doesn't make you weird or funny. It makes you who you are. So there's a lot of things that happen during this meeting time if you can structure it in a way that makes sense to the children, and children love structure. That's something that's really important to them because they feel comfortable with structure.
I love the lessons that are involved here. I mean, it is so powerful. There is so much going on, as you're saying, Rick. I mean, being able to so many different levels that the children and the parents benefit. Just for the parents to get to know their children and to hear what they have to say and appreciate them as unique individuals and not necessarily just who they think they should be. So it works both ways.
We did learn a whole lot more, I think, from the children in these meetings by listening to them, listening to their ideas. And we were blown away by some of the understanding that they had. Even the youngest one, at 7, could come up with definitions for words that astounded me at how accurate and how simple she defined a word that just made sense.
The other thing that we really stress quite a bit over and over again is to always remind the parents that during this time together that there isn't any negativity, that a child, we have our homes and, we say, well, we have a very safe home. Well, yes, because you're probably, not every parent is there beating on their kids and, their home is safe. But what about emotionally? Do your children feel comfortable sharing how they feel in their family group? Or do you as a spouse, do you feel comfortable? Because we need to feel emotionally safe. And there's a lot of teasing, and everyone thinks that teasing is, well, I'm just teasing, but it can be very harmful to a young spirit. I mean, they're just very tender. And if you laugh at somebody when they're little, then they're not going to want to share how they feel. And they don't understand that you're just, maybe they're laughing because they just see him as a cute little person. But for them, they're going, you're laughing at me and you think what I say doesn't really count. And so we do encourage over and over that the environment needs to be an emotionally safe environment where there isn't anybody teasing or putting down anyone's ideas, that everyone feels valued. And if you can have this with that, even if it's an hour a week that you're having this environment, that it's going to start to spill over into the rest of the week. Because I think you'll feel differently when you're in this group during this time where the ground rules are that we all respect one another and what is said.
I think it's so powerful, and I really like the concept of emotionally safe, because really that is if children can learn to express their feelings and not suppress them like most adults do, and learning that as a child, and so just thinking about how much healthier they will be through the rest of their life to be able to deal with that, and making it safe for them to do that, and showing them an example of being able to do that, and that it's valued, that it's not something you have to hide or you have to suppress, or that it's bad. I love the idea of not ridiculing or teasing in the family, that really showing respect for everyone's wherever they are and whatever they're presenting and during this time. And I'm sure the impact does go beyond the meeting, as you said. It's going to really
it helps to really solidify.
Yeah, their own self-esteem and how they see themselves. So very powerful.
To solidify the fact that we are a family, and helping to really realize, well, this is really what a family is. It's a place where we are emotionally safe and that we are encouraged and loved no matter what.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that idea, and it's so important today because I think so much of the way we treat children and the habits, as you said, to teaching good habits in early years, instead of the more of the habits that the society and the school teaches children, where they do lose a lot of a sense of who they are and become more insecure and self-conscious and inward, as opposed to shining their full capacity. So you're as a family helping your children to really live their purpose, essentially. So very nice. I love this model. Can you tell us?
You want to know more about the actual meeting structure?
Well, I mean, you talked some about it. What else do you want to tell us? I think that it's, how long is a typical meeting? Tell us that.
It will vary with the family.
Okay, so when they're younger, you said making it shorter, but as they get older, you make them a little longer.
We try to keep it to an hour and no more than about an hour and a half.
Well, I wouldn't really put a time limit on it. If you're having a great time together as a family, then you're not going to want to say, oh, we have to stop now because the time is up. I mean, unless there's other things happening and, they have allotted this time in their week for it, then maybe you want to say, well, we have this time and we're going to keep it in this structure. But if you're able to extend it, and because everyone is really enjoying the time together, then I would, just say that, you may want to stretch it out a bit. But we do have it set up so that we have different of the meeting. And when you have young children, we were looking at a way to give them a signal that it's going to be time, because children do well when you forewarn them that something is about to happen, and say, instead of just saying, oh, now we're doing this, because they're usually involved in something, and when a child gets involved, they're involved. And so if you can have an action activity time, just where there's maybe a certain song or something that you do together that says, okay, it's time now to get ready for our family time.
Like, you've seen that, the locomotion where you form a train and you weave around things. That's one of the things that we suggest. Mom starts and dad joins in, or dad starts and mom joins in, and they go and pick up all the children. And the children like that sort of thing because it's lively and it's fun. And if there's music, they have the music for it, it gets them into that mood. And then they just move into where the family meeting is going to be, or the family focused activity.
So you have a series of activities that you recommend as possibilities for families.
Yes, we have things like the hokey pokey and head and shoulders. These are things that young children really enjoy doing together.
They do, yeah.
And then if they know that, oh, this is time for the family to get together, then they're going to come because they know it's going to be fun. And then once you have everyone together, then you want to calm them down, and we have what is called a thought. And when we had originally, we're looking at creating this structure, a lot of times, we think of like a little inspirational thought, and I thought, well, that gets to the point where it becomes meaningless because somebody is just running off to a computer and grabbing some thought, some little quote. And it can get to the point where it's not as meaningful. And so we've given them more of a challenge, and that is that whoever is in charge of the thought for that week, that they either draw a picture or find a photograph of a time when they had a really great, like a really wonderful memory together as a family, something that happened that was important to them, and that's what they share. And so then they would present this message to their family. And we suggested getting like a document saver, and then you can put these papers into a document saver and create a thought book, so that after, several weeks, this thought book may be sitting in the living room, and little children, they do like to go and look through things again and again and talk about it. And so then you're collecting a book of thoughts.
Family thoughts. Focus on what you've done as a family that's been memorable or important to that particular child.
I love the idea of keeping a record like that and having the children, because they like to see things over and over and over and over and over and over. So how wonderful to have a book for them to share, particularly if they're proud of something that they did. I think that's amazing. Well, given the time, I want to make sure that we have time to talk about your online magazine, because I'm very excited about this. I'd like you to talk some more about that and what's involved and how people can join and
there's just a few more things. We can go over them quickly. We suggest doing a song or a prayer, depending on how your family is comfortable with prayer. It's something to bring the family together in harmony, if you want to call it that, either through the song or prayer. Then we go into some sort of lesson where we talk about the values. And this is where we read the book and started talking about those different issues. And we had some sort of game or song or activity to wind down the evening just before we had our treat. So that's the basic. Oh, sorry, there's one other step in there. We had a rock that was modeled after from the movie The Secret, called the Gratitude Rock. And we've actually talked to Lee Brower's wife, and we got permission to use the term. But the Gratitude Rock is one where you pass it around and you each say something that you're grateful for.
What? Yeah, so this is rock, an actual physical rock?
Yeah, it's a nice one that you can hold in your hand. And it's just a way to calm everybody and center everybody back again. And then they can express what they're grateful for. And at first it may be really awkward, but as the weeks go by, they're going to, you become more and more comfortable with sharing what you're grateful for. And then you can kind of, that's what you feel, and then, of course, a treat so that everybody enjoys eating something fun together.
Always wrap it up with food. I love the gratitude thing. I mean, I teach that to adults all the time. To me, it is key to really raising your vibrations and really living from a higher place and opening your heart and teaching that to children. And just like, bam, it never occurred to me. I was like, wonderful. And I love the gratitude rock. They just pass it around to each person, says what they want to be grateful for. What a great activity, like you said, to feel grounded and to get everyone focused again and to really to bring the energy in. I love that. Beautiful, beautiful teaching.
And it also teaches listening. It teaches the others to listen while the one with the rock speaks.
I like that
all sorts of lessons built into the structure of this program. Now, if somebody were interested in having more information about it, they can go to our website, www.fusefamilyfocus.com, and on there you can be led to our sample program, and you actually get the first lesson of the 12-week program free.
That's wonderful. So that people can get started and see if they like it and what it's all about.
Yes. Exactly.
That's fabulous. I'm very impressed. I mean, we talked before, but now to just hear more details about what it's involved here, things that have just never occurred to me to share. I mean, we try to teach adults all this stuff, but to think of it as a family unit and to actually have children participating and learning these habits and skills as young people, because they don't get this in school. So how wonderful family unit to be able to put this together, and what amazing adults you're going to create as a result of that. So really, I'm very impressed.
We believe the parents are responsible for the education of the children, not the school. I
agree with that.
Not TV, not babysitters, but the parents are responsible.
Well, the tricky part is the parents don't know how to teach their children, though. So what you've done is you're providing a program to teach them that. So
a how-to manual for parents.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great segue into our magazine.
Perfect.
Lisa, the magazine was your idea, so how about you explain it?
Well, the magazine is a way for us to help give to families. And we're in contact with several parent and family coaches, and they were excited to be able to contribute to our magazine. And so they're sharing for little children to teenagers, and Rick has been an expert on all, or step-parent expert on all parents, on all experts. And so he writes an article from the step-parent point of view. And we really feel important that parents need to understand that all areas of our life we need to be looking at, and to help raise their awareness, especially with health and nutrition and being green, and in understanding how their physical environment really impacts their life. If there's chemicals in the house, and just all of these things really impact our physical body and can really change the way that we behave. And so this is another area in the magazine where we have experts who share some great advice there. And
the best thing about the magazine is that it's free.
It's free.
We do this as a service because this is our way of helping parents find the experts, find people that have the knowledge. And it's our way of helping families understand that they can still learn a whole lot more about being better parents. It's not that they're bad parents, it's like the difference between being really good and being great. And that's what we want to do, is take good parents that really want to make an impact on their children, and help them through an awareness of this information about parenting that all of these experts that we're gathering together can give, and make them into, or help them become great parents.
And I also would like to see this magazine become a community magazine, that the parents that are reading the magazine, they share their reasons of why they're a family and what this family means to them, and an event that they've experienced together that maybe has been kind of inspiring, and that they can share with other parents and help to lift and inspire others, so that it can become everyone's magazine.
I think it's a fabulous idea, and it continues on the idea of really providing resources to parents. It's an alternative resource. I mean, there's lots of books about parenting, but I don't hear the kind of parenting that you're talking about. I mean, there are some people coming out now to talk more about this, and it is becoming a bigger issue. But you have a very unique approach, and it's not the general way that it's recommended to raise a family. And I think that this is really great to actually bring together all the people who are resources into one place and have it as available for parents to learn and to use in their families. So more kudos to you for creating something as valuable a tool like that.
Now, there's one other program that I want to mention quickly, and that's one that I developed called Families Helping Families. The basic idea is that as a family unit, we mostly look inward and look at our issues and our problems and how can we make it better as a family. But that, to me, that's kind of a reverse way of looking at it. If you look outwards and as a family go out and do service for others, you have a tremendous effect on your own family and the relationships that you have. And in fact, when children are taught and helped to do service for others, they are less likely to be involved in drugs, less likely to be in delinquent-type behavior, less likely to become pregnant as a teen. They're almost proofed against some of those dangers that happen in the teen years because they have the ability to look outwards. So this program suggests that as a family you go out and do community service, and you either pay yourself or ask for a donation. And this donation goes into a fund that's called the Unstoppable Fund, created by Cynthia Kersey. And that goes over to Africa or Haiti, and it helps create a community. It's kind of an adoptive community program. And this helps families there be able to stay together as a family and get some of the basics like food, water, education, a home. college becomes the center of their community, because education is the key to changing those families from poverty to the ability to exist and
have abundance.
So you're really recruiting families here to raise money to help families that are in very poor areas of the world.
And everyone's a winner.
Yes.
Because as you do it, your family becomes so much stronger, and you have that sense of pride as a family. This is what we've done to help our community, but we're also helping families in developing countries that are really struggling.
And it's giving families a purpose as well.
Yeah.
And it's helping them walk toward a purpose in their life, which then can develop and grow into something even more. And it's just a way to help families get started in living and working together with a purpose.
All right. Well,
anyway, that's also on our Fuse Family Focus site. There's a tab called Families Helping Families.
You can hear about that program too. You've got all of this on your website.
Yes, we do.
We're running out of time, so I do want to wrap up, and I just want to take a moment now to ask for any if there are any questions out there. We talked really quickly, and the whole hour went by so fast. There's so much material here, and we could talk a lot longer about the wonderful programs. But if anyone has a question, you just press 5* on your keypad, and it'll raise your hand, and then I will identify you by the last 4 digits of your phone number. Okay, doesn't look like anyone has any questions at this point. So just to sort of closing statement, what else would you guys like to say to wrap up the work you're doing, or making bring a point home that you'd like people to take away from our hour here today?
I think what we started with is that we have the ability to change the way we're thinking, and in changing the way we're thinking, we change the way we feel, and that changes how we act. So if we're not happy with the results we're getting in our life as a family or as an individual, the key to changing that is to change how we're thinking. And we have the ability to do that. And that's the important part, the awareness and the understanding and the empowerment that we have to be able to affect the environment around us. And when we bring that into the family, so that we strengthen not only us as a family, but our community and our nation. Because when the family fails, communities fail and our nations fail. It's really important to make the family strong.
Beautifully said, Rick. I do appreciate the two of you, Rick and Leisa. What a wonderful conversation we've had here tonight. And I thank you for being such great guests and for offering such amazing information. And I hope people take you up on your offer to look at your website and to download your free stuff and to contact you to really help them to, like you said, be going from a good family to a great family. And you clearly have the resources to help people to do that. So thank you so much. And then I wanted to thank everyone in our audience here tonight, and hopefully if anyone listening to the replay, I really appreciate your interest in this topic. And Light Beam Hour, we will not be having another session in August, and I'm still setting up for September, so I will be sending out notices when those are firmed up. And we will have, again, 2 guests in September. So look again for notices about the Light Beam Hour, and we've had a great time here with you tonight. So thank you so much, and blessings to all. Good night now.